get all this stuff in and the great guest that we have today. And we want to bring in our good friend, Sal Paolantonio, ESPN, who's covered every Tom Brady Super Bowl and knows this man just about better than any reporter in the business. What's up, Sal Pal? How are you, my friend?
Well, you called it, JP. You 100% called it, JP. You saw it coming. And he certainly looked retired while he was playing, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He looked different from the get-go this year, not only physically, but emotionally, mentally. And, just had Brad Johnson on, and he talked about that last pick that he threw in the end zone. And I had a feeling right there, and I don't mean to start with something negative, but just in terms of his retirement, that was maybe one of his most embarrassing moments. And I think he might have looked at that and said, man, it's time. I don't do that stuff. That is not Tom Brady, and I'm not going to do this again. I think that might have been one of the moments. But what are your thoughts on just what transpired this morning? Do you think it's sincere? I certainly do. It has no feel like last year, right?
Yeah, in regards to his play, the eye in the sky does not lie. It just does not, and you are what you're put on film, and everybody could see it. The bottom line is he didn't want to get hit.
Yeah.
And when you don't want to get hit and you're chucking and ducking, it doesn't look good. It's not the way you want your career to end. I do think it's sincere. I think there are a lot more questions that have to be answered, obviously. Number one, with Sean Payton going to Denver, it sounds like the idea of bringing Sean Payton and Tom Brady back together for one last hurrah was not going to work. There was nobody buying that.
Yep.
Two, we got to find out what happened with the Las Vegas Raiders, because there definitely was an interest. We all know that. So at some point, that decision might have been made for Tom Brady, whether it was by Mr. Davis, the owner of the team, or Josh McDaniels. And they just looked at it and said, hey, are we better off with a mediocre Derek Carr or a Tom Brady who is just cashing a check?
Yeah. So,
there are a lot of questions and reporting to be done. This doesn't diminish at all, in my view, what he accomplished. I have never been in the business, JP, ever in my career, 30 years covering the NFL, of telling players what to do, what contracts to sign, what teams to go to, when to retire, when to come back from injury. Those are personal and business decisions that players make. They don't tell me how to run my family. They don't tell me how to do my business. I'm not about to tell him that to do that. All I know is Tom Brady gave us 20 plus years of unparalleled athletic achievement. And I'll say it again, because I've said it to you on this show maybe 20 times. What he did his first year in Tampa will never be done again by any other athlete ever. Never. To go from one team to another during a pandemic and in 9 months, remake that team in your image and drag them through the season, a tough season during COVID-19, and win the Super Bowl like they did. He had a lot of help. Now, Todd Bowles in that defense gave him a lot of help. Bruce Arians coached his brains out, coached his butt off, and he deserves a lot of credit. But for Brady to do that as an athlete on the field will never be duplicated, and I think it will go down as one of the greatest athletic achievements of all time.
Well said. And coming from you, that has a lot of meaning. Now, I would argue that making AB behave for a whole year may be his greatest accomplishment, but that was all part of what you just said too, because he got him to do that for 1 year. Sal Paolantonio joining us here. Sal, you've covered a lot of great athletes, and maybe you've talked about this last year, but what made him different? What made him special? And as I said in my monologue, it's a uniquely American story for a kid with very little athletic ability, underrated. I'm going to say that, but in terms of great NFL athletes that we see out there, to become the greatest NFL player of all time, it is an absolute study in master's class in dedication, perseverance, just ridiculous, relentless work ethic, as Brad Johnson just said. What did you see? What made him better than everybody else?
Great teammate. You wanted to be on his team.
Yeah.
He made you better. because of all of those things. He was the CEO on and off the field. He set an example through his work ethic and single-minded vision. I've been at a lot of practices with Tom Brady in New England, not so much in Tampa, but a lot of them in New England. And if a player was out of position, he knew it before the player was out of position. If a player ran the wrong route, if a player dropped an easy ball, Brady was up there and teaching hard coaching on the field. I remember very specifically when Rex Burkhead ran the wrong option route. Brady lived off option routes between the hashes. And Rex Burkhead ran the wrong option route in a red zone drill up in New England in practice, a nondescript Thursday afternoon training camp. And Tom Brady wouldn't stand for it. It's that kind of focus, dedication to the craft that I think will separate him from a lot of people. And there's really only one or two peers, honestly. I think it's Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods in terms of single-minded vision to say to yourself, okay, here's where I want to go, and here's how I'm going to get there, and I am never getting off this road until I get there, and then to achieve it on a monumental scale. I don't think it'll be ever be done again in the National Football League, that's for sure.
I would agree with that. And I was going to ask you about leadership, and I think that was a great story that certainly showed that. Are there other instances of things that he did in terms of leadership? Because I think this is an underrated quality in quarterbacks. And we look at a lot of different quarterbacks and how they get it done. But when you're winning championships, it's a special quality, especially at that rate. There's something about your leadership that is different. What did you see?
Lead by example all the time.
Yeah.
And off the field, too, the TB12 method.
Yeah.
Set up there in Foxborough at Patriot Place. I walk by it all the time. I stay at Patriot Place at the Renaissance Hotel, go to Davio's restaurant, then go to the stadium and back, and you pass by TB12 all the time. And that training complex became the Mecca for all of the athletes, and especially the Patriots who wanted to follow the Tom Brady regimen and work ethic. It became the Mecca. And Alex Guerrero and his ability to help these players, and Brady to understand, hey, it wasn't just about him. So that's one. And two, hometown discount. Let's not forget that.
Yep.
Big part of the Brady legacy. It's more important for me to win rings and trophies and Super Bowl titles than for me to make the extra buck. Yes. I need the extra buck to pay Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, Troy Brown, Teddy Bruschi, Ty Law, all those guys who are Hall of Famers, some of them, but all shared in the rings because Tom Brady didn't break the bank like other guys. And this is not a slight on other guys, but other guys have broken the bank. Joe Flacco did. Yep. Look what happened to Baltimore. Aaron Rodgers is probably the best example.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers went for the big bucks. Packers couldn't afford Devontae Adams. And we know the rest of the story. And for Aaron Rodgers to say, I could win another MVP if I wanted to, and then Gronk goes after him, that's Gronk channeling Brady when he says that about Aaron Rodgers. Am I wrong about that,
100%,
JP, or not?
You were 100% right on that. When I heard it, I was like, yep, I think I know what he's talking about, no doubt. Sal Paolantonio joining us here. Also, the anchor of the Matchup Show, which is the best X's and O's show in all of football without question. So this next question is about X's and O's, and I just asked Brad Johnson this as well. What is it about the X's and O's? What does he do on game day? What do you see on tape that made him better than everybody else? What was it?
Well, one, pre-snap read is very important. So you've called the play, you get to the line of scrimmage, you see what the defense is doing. And I would always watch him and Ray Lewis, this chess match between him and Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
The formation would present itself. Ray Lewis would adjust. Tom Brady would adjust. Ball snapped, further adjustment. I mentioned those option routes. He was the master of it, whether it was Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Rex Burkhead, Rob Gronkowski, but go down the list. Those option routes are done by visual recognition and nonverbal communication that only Tom Brady could possibly accomplish. By the way, tell Brad, who is one of my favorite guys that I ever encountered in the NFL. And, obviously I was there when they won the Super Bowl. Tell Brad Stevens that Sal Pal sends my best to his family.
Absolutely.
Because I know he's a great family man and a terrific guy. And, now I want to see who the Bucs are going to pick for a quarterback. What's Todd Bowles going to do? That's the next big fat question, JP. And I love you. I respect you, but Sports Center is calling, brother. So I got to run.
You got to go,
and,
buddy.
We will catch up. We will catch up soon. It's always great to chat with
best.
you. And thank you for reaching out getting my perspective. I covered all 10 of Tom Brady's Super Bowls. I thought there might be an 11, but there wasn't. And I wish Tom Brady and his children and his family the best. They've always treated me with the utmost respect. I don't know if Tom's listening right now, but I know he follows you all the time. He's told me that. And listen, what Tom Brady has done for the National Football League is, he pushed the button on the launch pad and put it into orbit. So, congratulations to Tom Brady to picking retirement. You got to have shalom in the home. I believe that. I think it's important.
Yes.
And I'll see him in the broadcast booth. Now I get to really terrorize him. Now I see him on Sunday.
That's right.
JP, you're the best. Thanks for reaching out, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Sal, thank you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time on a day like this. I know how busy you are. The great Sal Paolantonio.